How do I know I'm going to marry the right person? How do I know how many kids to have? How do I know where I want to live? How do I know what, fill in the blank? You never have enough information logically to make those decisions. Well, you can ask better questions. What would I do if I could only do one thing for the rest of my life? What is something I'd do if I knew it was impossible to fail? See, the nature of the question itself really contains most of the challenge. And that is that the nature of the question is ultimately seeking certainty. Now, I want to be sure that I'm doing the right thing. Now, why? Because I want to avoid the feeling of not doing the right thing, getting something wrong, wasting my time, therefore not being good enough, all the usual things. Well, let me put it into a different analogy so that you can see that's where the futility of that line of inquiry can be. Let's go to school. How can I be sure that I get every single answer right on the exam? You can't. How can I know that I'm doing the right thing with my life? Well, the only thing you can do is take your best shot at the dartboard and then work off feedback. Now, luckily, we have a built-in feedback mechanism, so it's not as if you're just flying blind throughout your life. The feedback mechanism is, does this feel good? Does it feel right? Does it feel, I want to say good, I don't mean good in the terms of comfort. Does lifting the weights in the gym feel comfortable? No, but you know it feels good because that's why you're there, because you've got a context for understanding growth at the physical level. Or training for the marathon or training for the competition. So when you have a situation that you're saying, oh, I want to know that what I'm doing with my life is right. Well, you're never going to have enough information, enough data points in order to be able to make that, have the level of certainty that you're ultimately craving. So you can have one or two things. You can either come to terms with the fact that you're not going to have that certainty, so therefore come back to one of my favorite quotes from Tony Robbins. The quality of your life is in direct proportion to the amount of uncertainty you can comfortably live with. Why comfortably live with? Because you're going to have to live with it anyway. So you can either resist, kick back, scream, rant, become a victim of it, or you can learn to include it. That's where the masters can really sort of shine and separate from the masses. So think about all of the other major decisions you have to make in your life with what to do with your life. How do I know I'm going to marry the right person? How do I know how many kids to have? How do I know where I want to live? How do I know what, fill in the blank? You never have enough information logically to make those decisions. So what do? You throw a dart in the board. You take your best shot and then you work off feedback. If you marry the wrong person, you'll probably figure that out sooner or later. And then you have a choice. You can either continue down that path, or you can try to shift that path, or you can change that path. So how do I know what I'm doing with my life? Well, there are some clues. But if you're open-minded to embrace uncertainty first, that's the prerequisite. Otherwise, you're not going to listen to anything that doesn't give you the certainty you're looking for, and nothing's going to give you the certainty you're looking for. So, what are the clues? Well, you can ask better questions. Questions are the steering wheel of the mind. Now, they direct your focus. So asking a question such as, what lights me up? Now, what would I do if I could only do one thing for the rest of my life? And that was an actual choice. And I went there emotionally, not intellectually, and actually said, okay, if I could only do one thing, what would I do? What is something I'd do if I knew it was impossible to fail? It's great, because what most people make their decision process making through is, again, come back to the primary fear that we're not enough and the avoidance of that, just about unconsciously. And that most of the decisions we make consciously and unconsciously are designed to avoid the emotions that we vote on as being uncomfortable. And usually linked to the primary fear that we're not enough. So being judged, good opinion of others, embarrassed, not good enough, all that kind of thing. Right? So we make decisions about our life usually to avoid emotions that we have voted on as being so painful that we can't include them. Not that anyone else has done anything to us, but that's our operating system. So how do I know what I want to do with my life? Well, ask questions to get you in the right sort of ballpark. But people also cannot hear information that is higher than their current level of consciousness. So if your level of consciousness is victim, you're not going to hear advice that comes in from a place of trying to empower you. It's going to be discounted because it doesn't fit your pictures. Now, if you are in a place where your current state or even stage of consciousness is anger, you're not going to be hearing forgiveness. You're not going to be hearing tolerance. You're not going to be hearing non-judgment. No, you're going to be hearing revenge, retribution, you needing to be right that somebody else is wrong. So understand where you're at is a big part of that. Being flexible in terms of having an intent to raise your level of consciousness is a part of that. But what is the dividing point on the famous Hawkins map of consciousness between power versus force? Well, it's the point of courage. Does it take courage to embrace uncertainty? Does it take courage to face the unknown? Does it take courage to discount what's happening in the outer world to remain solid with the conviction that you have in the inner world? Absolutely. So that's the gateway or the tipping point to the crossing point, the Rubicon of power, to be able to transcend limitation in terms of fear and scarcity. So how do I know what I want to be, if I'm doing is right? Simple answer: you don't, and you never will. And what you think may be right with your life right now may be a temporary destination. It may be a certain bridge, ladder, fork in the road to a different place where something else is going to be different. Instead of trying to cling on to getting the equation right on the spreadsheet of probabilities of what I think I should be doing with my life, ask yourself questions about what lights you up. When was the last time you felt so complete or whole? You didn't need anything. What were you doing at that point? What was a factor in that point? Were you with people you loved? Were you feeling unjudged? Were you engaged in something that was naturally expressed some of the gifts that were innate to you that really light you up and turn you on? What is it? Go look. You've got a history. Go search there for some clues. From there, you can say, okay, if I'm willing to embrace uncertainty and be open-minded to move forward, then is what I'm about to do serving me and my insecurities and my ego, or is it about expressing on something I can do and contribute to beyond myself? Because I got news for you. Every single path that you are looking to spend your life in terms of expressing yourself in any kind of association to is this right, will ultimately lead to a place of ethnocentrism, not egocentrism. So, are you focused on, I want to be doing this with my life because it'll make me look important and therefore I can feel successful in the eyes of other people who really don't give a crap? Or is it, I want to do this because I feel it's really making a difference and it's a way to be able to express and give back to the world? Now that could be the same job, path, career, hobby, whatever it may be, but two very different reasons behind it. So that's the other aspect of factoring it in. But ultimately, what you want to be doing is trying to be committed to your own truth, not your own insecurities. And don't tell me that your truth is to be insecure, because we weren't born that at that level. The only time dogs exhibit any kind of neurosis is if they're around neurotic owners. They're not born to be neurotic. Right? So if you come back to the point of saying, what's the purpose of school? Purpose of school is to provide an environment where we can make better choices that would have consequences leading towards a better education or not in the traditional sense of school. What is the purpose of Earth School? Is it to get every single question right? No, it's to provide an environment where we get to make choices. Now, if you make the wrong choice, that's okay, providing you learn and get some feedback. If you fail the exam, you get to retake the exam. That's the beauty of Earth School. Trust me, the paper will be put back in front of you enough times. And if you decide that you're going to be stubborn because you think your answers are right and the rest of the world is wrong, then you'll get some feedback on that as well. So let go of the need for certainty around what you think you need to be doing in your life. Go throw a dart in the board. If you're aiming for the bullseye and you hit 3, bring it closer to the center with the next throw. And if you miss the board completely, have another go. You can't fail in Earth School. That's the beauty of it. What if you were to just hold the possibility, just for a second, that at the end of this, let's call it class, lifetime, that wherever you finish in Earth School was okay for where you're at. In other words, you couldn't fail. You may not have graduated with honors. That's okay. You got to come back and do it again. But you can't fail. You may leave a legacy as a warning for other people. Well, then that's a gift that you've managed to contribute. Adolf Hitler gave a fantastic opportunity for the world to witness the horrors of a level of egocentrism, genocide, megalomania, so that we can now contrast that with something that we don't want to ever see or include again. Thank you, Adolf. Right? You're not drawing any level of condoning or judgment on his actions. That's a whole separate conversation. But even a life that is a warning can be an example of something that you shouldn't do, which can be a gift to others. So you can't fail Earth School. But if you have an inherent sense, as many people watching this or taking the time to watch this have, an inherent sense of something deeper that they want to express themselves on a journey of personal, emotional, spiritual growth, then they kind of know the difference between walking an old lady across the road and gassing 2 million people. So from that perspective, who are we in this time? People that can't fail, that strive to make the best use of whatever their next choice is in accordance to where their truth is that they feel right now. And if you're not willing to let go of the fear of making the wrong decision, and I'm sorry, then you're living in a fantasy world that, not recognizing that life is a growth-centric experience. And what's really going on is you're afraid of being judged for being wrong. You're afraid of not being good enough if you get it wrong. That's the only thing that's going on. That's what's driving the initial question. Well, let go of that. Surrender to that. Okay? You failed the exam, take another one. You failed the business, start another one. You get a heart attack, stop eating fried food. It's feedback. So, how can you be absolutely certain? Well, get comfortable with living with uncertainty, become certain that you can handle uncertainty, and that'll serve you far better than trying to look for certainty as to what you're doing is right. And I think we all have a sense of what's truth once we let go of our insecurities.